Hey guys, welcome to the Geography Academy. So today I'm going to introduce the 3 biggest mistakes students make in the Cambridge International AS Geography exam. I've been teaching geography for 9 years, so these tips are going to be really useful to you. So a lot of students lose really easy marks when it comes to short questions. They have to remember some simple things. Firstly, you've got to use the resources that are given. So if you're giving a graph that has maybe the dates on it, then you've got to use those dates in your responses when prompted to. The other thing is to not misread the question. For instance, you might be just asked to describe something. You get no extra marks for going on and explaining how that's formed or how something was created. The third thing in the short questions to remember is the timing. So students need to have a set time to make sure that they give enough time to answer all the questions. So let me give you a couple of examples. So here we have an example of section 1 question. If we just go to question 1 part B, it says with reference to figure 1.1. So anywhere where it says with reference means that you have to directly reference whatever is in figure 1.1. And here it's a description question, the relationship between velocity and size of particles deposited. So we go over to the insert and we can see Eulstrom's curve here. So it said with regards to figure 1.1 and it's right here. So I would say start an answer with saying according to figure 1.1, and this will remind you to actually use the data that's given. So here we can directly say something like we have a velocity of 100 centimeters per second squared at roughly a particle size of 10 millimeters. And that would just use all the data here, the particle size, the velocity. You might even mention that it's gravel that you're talking about as well. If you end up explaining why Eulstrom's curve and the velocity works like this, you will get no extra marks. Mistake number 2 is reading the questions and misinterpreting the information. So this happens really regularly. So you need to think before you write. If you see something you recognize, a lot of students get excited and they just begin writing because they think, oh, I've seen this question before. A good way to actually get around this is to use the words in the question as you're answering the question, okay? And this is in particular useful for the essays. You want to go back and use those keywords again and again. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So let's use this example here. So it says, with the aid of examples, examine the extent to which hard engineering prevents river floods. Now let's say, for instance, you're halfway through writing the essay and then all of a sudden you are on a roll talking about hard engineering methods, and then you move on to coastal methods that you've studied about engineering and protecting the coastline, and now you've gone off topic. So if you continue to end the paragraph by talking directly using the words hard engineering prevents river floods or doesn't prevent river floods, but use these particular words, you should stay on track. The third mistake is timing. So many students come out of the exam and say that they did not have enough time. You have more than enough time in your exam if you do it carefully. So a mark is a mark. So make sure that you give enough time and enough respect to the short questions and make sure you get those right. It's much easier to get 100% in your short questions than it is to go from 12 marks to say 14 marks out of 15 for your essay. A lot of students have false confidence then that they're going to be able to make the time up as well later in the exam. So they'll spend a little bit extra time on one section, on one question, like a 5-mark question. You have to have the self-control to stop and move on to the next section. If you leave yourself a bit more time at the end of the exam, come back and finish off an answer. A lot of students have problems with their essays because maybe they didn't leave enough time at the end of the exam. So you have to be really clinical in your approach to timing. So this is a big part of what we teach in the exam mastery course. It's how to absolutely nail that timing and have it perfect. You've also got to account for reading, which most students forget. A bonus mistake then I should mention is that students do not get help early enough. You can get help with your peers. You can get help from A2 students who have done this before, gone through, have loads of past paper questions completed. Of course, I really recommend that you do a lot with your groups of students your own age. Make sure you get together once a week, you study the same topics, make sure everybody's up to scratch and on board, and go to your teacher as often as possible. And if you've done a bit of research, like you've tried to tackle a question and the teacher can see that, then they're going to be extra helpful, trust me. The fourth thing is obviously go to the Geography Academy. So here we can help you in lots of different ways. Just find what you're looking for in terms of the course, like the AS course here, and we'll offer you things like free resources, professional tutoring, and we're even going to have group classes this year. If you want to get the exam mastery course, this is the most popular, just send us an email and we'll get back to you and set you up with a course in no time. So if you've enjoyed this video and have any more questions about the course, make sure to leave a comment and get in touch.